getting maybe... Not that he's getting worse at TVZ, it just is, as usual, the progress, the skill continuing forward. But I think he's being challenged more often in the matchup. That's a great way to put it. And a Lambo, who is really doing a lot of the challenging for the Zerg side. ZvT has never looked better, more consistently. It's only been a week, but I'm still going to say it more consistently. In the bottom left, it is Shopify Rebellion's Lambo. In the top right, it is Team Liquid's Clem. It's the zoom because he is a polar bear. So, Lambo hitting some of his peak TVZ, defeated Hero Marine last week. Didn't have to defeat Clem. Pretty sure I'm remembering this correctly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. And then defeated Max Pax in the finals. So definitely one of his best runs in the Open Cup. Not his first win. I believe it was his third. Maybe his fourth. Clem is trying to catch up to Hero Marine's wins of the Open Cup. I talked about it last week. It was definitely off with the amount of victories that Clem had. He's actually very close to overtaking Hero Marine. I think there's a 5 or 6 Open Cup difference between the two. Hero Marine at like 52, Clem at 46 or 47 or something like that. So, yeah. Every time Hero Marine drops down in the semifinals, gotta be worried about losing your crown. For some reason, it still doesn't feel like it's the Clem Cup, even though he has, again, gotten so many of his own victories, and against Hero Marine all the time, too. Especially in the last 6 months. I guess maybe because Hero Marine was on such a tear for so long, it was a little more in succession than Clem. I'm not actually sure. Just still feels a little more like the Hero Marine Open Cup, but Clem, especially if he does overtake, you know, should get the title. Should get a little plaque or something. But while this would look like an ideal situation for Clem to add another point on the board, it's actually not. Lambo is playing some feisty ZvT. He has definitely shown some macro weaknesses. Last game, I think I pointed out a decent number of them, and I think they were actually just mistakes. I don't think I was missing something really big brain. But I'm always going to give a little bit of credit to that because Lambo's a big brain. And I think the same thing happened last week too, where I did see Lambo make some almost terrible game-ending mistakes and then still recover. So I don't know exactly what's changed, but if I had to chalk it up to something, I would still stick with Lambo. Just seems like a more confident, aggressive Zerg, given the right moment. So again, not cheesing, not all-inning, just seeing a moment and then actually reading it correctly and going for it, as opposed to pulling back or incorrectly guessing. Lambo did go for a pull first this game, by the way, but not with a gas, right? So not as much to talk about, and Clem with an SCV Scout was able to see that is his plan. I think the SCV Scout makes a lot of sense. First game of the series on Waterfall. Lambo absolutely will throw out a Roach Rush, and it could have been here, could have been a Moondance. Or just a pull first, actually. That alone, right? Just make sure you don't get your command center a little off timing. So maybe worth the SCV Scout. Not much else scouting-wise has happened, but it doesn't have to happen yet. Actually, a little bit of micro going on. Creep Tumor died. Clem does that. It's kind of annoying. Third CC is on the way. Don't know why I bumped to that. Third CC is on the way with a Hellion Banshee to be one of the most safest 3 CC openers that you can do. Non-cloak, though. Oh, wait. 100 gas. 100 gas. Okay, it is cloak. So if it wasn't cloak, just a very, very safety Banshee with cloak, he's gonna go for 2. So Lambo did not see the tech lab technically, but this has been Clem's mostly bread and butter opener. Definitely can be a Hellion Liberator opener. So, you know, you want to keep that in mind, but this is a lot of what Clem's been doing. Clem also being pretty aggressive with the first 2 Hellions, but not that far off from having his next 2 Hellions try and dip into the natural too. Is a bit more of a combo than maybe Lambo was expecting. Because the first 2 Hellions slipping in has been something that Clem's done before. But the other 2, maybe added just a little bit of a distraction. 6 SCVs in total. But, or SCV, 6 drones in total. But for 4 Hellions and a Reaper, I mean, yeah, meh. This comes down to more so the question of economy kill versus army kill. An army that you're not necessarily going to be using the longer the game goes. Not necessarily, but sometimes you absolutely do still need it. The Ling run by after the Hellions sacrifice themselves. And then nice timing as the next pair of Hellions had moved out really can work wonders. 3 SCVs isn't exactly what Lambo was hoping for. Could probably gone up to 5 or 6, and that would have been fantastic. But he's gonna have to live with what he got. Clem still going up to more Hellions, actually. It's gonna be a total of 12 Hellions that he's produced. It's a lot. Banshees were hoping to find an Overseer, not prepared, not in position, or unable to do so. Lambo is gonna try and now lock this down nice and tight. But he's already taken more damage here in this series in the early game than I think he did to Kelazar at any point. So, 3rd CC's down for Clem, continuing to walk or roll around, I guess. Collecting drone transfers, Lings coming single file to defend, seems to be feeling his groove at the very least. Feeling fast, feeling micro-intensive. A little slip on the macro, though. Oh no, oh no. Very little slip. He is trying to get maximum value from these Hellions, and sometimes it is not worth it. I do not advise anyone in chat, for instance, to try and do this. You will just miss 8, 12, 15 SCVs and not get anything with the Hellions. But for this guy, that little slip did also combine with Hellions getting a continued denial of drone mining on the 4th, a canceled Spore Crawler, which is still money, and some Lings getting barbecued, and all the Hellions still alive, so yeah, he's pretty good. The more the game goes on, the more the Hellions are unlikely to get damage. More creep spread, more advanced notice, more units spread around, but just by being on the edge of creep, there's still something that Lambo has to strongly consider. You can't just throw all of these units off to the left to deal with the medevac drop, for instance. Not the Hellions are continuing to run around. In this case, the Hellions, ooh, that was a good cancel. That would have been all too tempting not to cancel. Or just not pay attention to, honestly. Just don't have the APM for it. But that was a fine cancel right there. Just a little bit too of a babby command center to let the Banelings roll into that. And hope it survives. So I just gotta say, Clem is really playing quite well. But Lambo is not too far behind. It is maybe getting a little out of step. So I am still very worried for Lambo. Despite his supply being strong, he is also starting to miss macro a little bit, so as he does handle the left side attack, trades out the Banelings for the Hellbats, which Clem's okay with, and Clem picks up the 16 Marines. We also have 2 Banshees. Gonna be able to kill a Queen. Yeah, if they're not focus firing. Oh, not gonna bother, not gonna bother. They're a distraction then. And then actually, that distracts Clem. Choosing the wrong moment to go back to the Banshees, Lambo pounces on it, and this is, again, what seems to be the difference. Lambo actually pouncing on opportunities, getting big wins, and the Terran doesn't expect it. In this particular game, he is also very much dedicating to a big Baneling swell to hit in the mid-game, but he has missed out on the possible 1-1 at timing with this, so it could have been a little bit better. Banelings rolling in. Widowmine did not pop. Banelings actually getting a lot of good connections as the Marines' last second split was not good enough. And with the splits, they are not reacting to the 3rd command center. 15 SCVs go down. And Clem is not getting a whole lot in return. Looks like actually a couple of Queens, so I take that back. He's gotten a lot of those Queens. Lambo is now down to 4, which, you know, it's not enough to inject, but not to creep spread. And that 4th command center was not canceled. That is pretty big as well. Clem might have lost 15 SCVs, but he still has triple mule. He actually is mining out of his main and natural a little bit, so he'll probably be able to transfer and saturate his 3rd anyways. Exactly, actually. That's almost perfect. And then his 4th command center will turn into a planetary, will produce 4 SCVs, and Lambo did not get as much as he needed, I think, from that. Especially as Clem quickly counterattacks, finds the Baneling still forming, only 1 available. It is shot down, but a big surround here. And the Widowmines I mean, they could have been burrowed faster. They also could have hit the Marines. So that was a little bit of a sketchy situation. Clem picking up and leaving was absolutely the right call. That means that Lambo has time to breathe, which Lambo definitely needs. He needs those banelings up and running. And he would love to get the Hydras as well, just to help out. Maybe kill some of these medevacs, which are low on energy. So if you kill them, I just have no healing whatsoever. That 5th base definitely has to be canceled. Not that Clem was actually looking at it. Maybe you look at it after it was canceled. Drones are being killed. Lambo's going to go right up the middle once again. Advanced notice thanks to the sensor tower, but not too much to do with that advanced notice. Decent Woodamine shots, but not helping to take care of literally everything. And the banelings roly-poly on in. They're rolling and they're poly and they're not going to connect. Okay, they might eventually connect. Meanwhile, we do have the Terran army killing the 4th base, killing the reinforcements. I don't see any banelings on the defensive. Completely banelinglessness. Can't say that fast enough, and that is it. Without banelings, Lambo cannot hold GG. Banelingless? Banelingless. In the top right for Shopify Rebellion, it is Lambo. Bottom left, it is Team Liquid's Clem. We did Clem things. Micro. Lambo was trying to be very aggressive on a short map with the Ling Baneling attack. So you do have a steady economy, you do have upgrades, but you're not necessarily adding on that 5th particularly quickly. I don't think you go up to, like 90 drones, right? And you don't have any Hydras or, fast hive or something like that. So Lambo was very close to finding Clem, just a little bit too underdefended. A little bit too late to the micro on the defense. And it was so close that I do wonder if that +1 melee actually being done would have been the difference maker. I'd have to look back again and see how often it was Lings versus Marines, right? Because if it was never any Lings around on 5 Marines dotted around the natural and 3rd, then I'm not sure that upgrade matters. If it was nothing but Banelings getting good connections, then I don't think the upgrade matters, right? But yeah, if it was kind of down to some of the mono Marine Ling battles, that lacking +1 melee upgrade could have been what made the difference. What actually caused that to snowball so much that Clem could not recover well enough, because that was certainly close to doing it. We've seen that happen before, where you look at the situation and you say, well, if the Terran can get a ball of 20 Marines, they'll probably be okay. But because the Zerg is already in their natural 3rd and even maybe somewhat into the main, they're not going to get that ball of Marine force fast enough to stop the economic damage, or maybe to just stop at all the game ending if their production's also being camped. It was really close, but Clem just barely had enough. So I still find it important to point out that Lambo is missing some of these things. Not because I hate Lambo. It's like, this guy, what is he even doing? But just because I think it is the only thing keeping him back right now. His reads on these engagements, his diversification of playstyles and openers, and his just seems to be a more tendency to being aggressive, I think are all things that are really helping him in the matchup. Just some of the basics, the fundamentals are still missing, and only in certain situations are they going to be easily glossed over. So versus Kelazur, we had a little discussion in chat. Why did Lambo get to make all these mistakes, really, and then Kelazur still lost even one-sidedly? It was not pretty at the end. Well, if you don't hit them when they are making the mistakes, then what does it really matter? Thing is that I think Clem can kind of hit them when they make the mistakes, because Clem is that fast. He's constantly dancing around offense and defense. So last game, kind of more case in point, was the lack of banelings on the defense. Clem was not as quick to... Oh, no, don't! Don't! Okay. If Clem was not as quick to running across the map and microing and burrowing his widow mines, there was no fear of having too few banelings. Remember, it was in the middle of the 3rd and the 4th? Instead, there was a fear. There was an almost endgame moment right then and there. Speaking of endgame moments, Lambo still does not have speed. And Hellions do race in. Good block with the Queens, but equally good grenade. All 4 Hellions. Nope, just kidding. 3 Hellions will make it to the main base. That's all you need, though, is 3 Hellions. Speed is still not done. 3, 2, 1. And there's really not that many Lings, even when it is done. But I think the major crisis has been averted. There is still a crisis. There is absolutely still a crisis. 7 drones is still very sucky for the Zerg player. But on top of that, you were hitting your own economy to go into a double gas Ling Roach attack. That has just been discovered and canceled. All the investment you made into it is now useless. You are pain. So much pain. Lambo might have, if this was a ladder game, tapped out. If he really wasn't feeling like playing a game like this out, I would not have judged him either. But as it is a tournament game, and I don't think Lambo is the type to tap out too soon. At all. Almost ever. Yeah, he's gonna play this one out, but it's gonna be really tough. Oh boy. I think he's gonna try and move this over into a Spire. Yeah, fast and muta build, which will certainly be a little off than expected. He's gonna come out the layer done with just barely enough gas for it. Yeah, I think that's what he's gonna do. No evolution chambers, so it's really the only option here. Clem might get advanced notification. We'll see if he ever dips into the main. He must know that he's gotten a really good lead scouting this. He also must know that the Roachborn was canceled. He's seen nothing. So, seems fairly obvious. Maybe he's still going to play kind of safe, just by going for this tank. I think he is taking into consideration that it could still be roaches. Maybe not a roach cheese, but a roach game. And then as soon as he realizes it is Baneling, not Muta actually, he did not go for a Spire. He'll go into Widow Mines. But the 2 tanks first and foremost is a really safe way to play. Gives you a 2 tank push as well, should you want to do that. But I actually am kind of surprised. Lambo, like, it was timing the gas with the lair so well with none of these other buildings. I really thought it was going to be a Spire. But, nope. Nope. Just was waiting as long as possible to turn drones into buildings. Getting them to mine every last little drop, I guess. And then going into it. But that doesn't mean that he is not particularly quick to those upgrades. The lair has been done for a little bit. Now, well, not that you need layer for 1-1, but yeah, centrifugal hooks, you know, only just down the way. Of course, not done. Big problem when the attack's already underway. And Lambo probably holds this attack, but the future is very uncertain. Does he though? Yeah, does he though? Queen's taking forever to actually kill this tank. Are now left Baneling-less. Nailed it. 1-1 finishes. Combat shield soon to finish as well. And this will be Lambo's death. Close to it, man. Close to it. 3 queens is not a lot to work with. Not even injecting every single base. No creep spread. 4 more queens are on the way. But yeah, Lambo's not going to play this one out. GG. Very unfortunate opener. That was going to be a real bamboozle to do the early game cheese on a bigger map. Might have caught Clem very off guard, but his aggressive Hellion usage working out well these past couple of games. There's definitely a downside to the way he's using them. You know, if he uses them, they don't do any damage. Either just they don't do anything, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Or they don't do anything and a run-by hits them. Or they don't do anything, die, and the counterattack hits them. And that can be very much an interruption for the Terran. But just like Clem isn't really getting punished for the way he's using his Hellions. He kind of almost did in the first game, but not enough. Top left of Moondance, it is Lambo. Bottom right, we have Clem. This is the map that I would have expected a Ling, Roach, Ravager attack, or just Roach attack. Whatever. As it is very popular for it. And Lambo has done it before. Recently. But he was trying to change things up, go for it on Tropical Sacrifice. Subvert expectations. Did not work. Did not work. A lot because of Clem's quick thinking with the Reaper Grenade. I mean, that was pretty sick. It was really the highlight moment there. Without the Reaper Grenade, it's still a little chaotic, and it kind of still sucks as far as streamlining your build with the Zerg, but doesn't lose as many drones, doesn't get his plans revealed, right? And that's a very different game at that point, but yeah, that Reaper Grenade was pretty cool. Lambo is going to go for a pool first, but no gas. This doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to get gas in a Roachmorn afterwards, though. This can force the Reaper back home. Or, of course, they don't get a Reaper at all. Now it knows it doesn't have a Reaper. And then you get a Roachmorn, and hopefully, with all the distractions going on, the Terran player never gets to scout it. Either they just are physically incapable, Reaper's busy doing something else, or they kind of forget about it, basically. Which is a lot less likely to happen in the pro scene than on ladder, right? On ladder, you throw a Ling at a player, and sometimes they panic. They just straight up drop all their lemons and their limes. But for Clem, he's going to be very, very intense on finding out what Lambo's mid-game plan is. Because I'm thinking he's not too concerned of a very, very cheesy opener, like a proxy hatch, right? But anything to that third base, right? Third base down. What else is happening here? Probably should also still be wary of a two-base attack, too. But the point is, Clem's going to be wary at every single point in this game. So the SCV Scout confirms the pool first. Clem is going to keep his Reaper at home by looks of things initially. But all you have to do, really, to still have a good enough defensive timing against a Roach push is get that first 2 Hellion attack out in the map and actually see the Roaches, which is kind of sometimes the difficult part. If you get 2 Hellions out and you send them to the middle of the map thinking, okay, they'll scout the Roaches and the Roaches go this way, it can be a little weird, but it's all very hypothetical because Lambo is absolutely not doing anything with the Roaches. It's no cheese. But I think considering the history of Lambo, the history of the map, and just probably the matchup, Clem is wary of it. Did have the Reaper pull back, realized no reason to have the Reaper pulled back, puts it back on the front lines. Still, at this moment, you aren't completely sure they haven't gone on the Roaches, but it's becoming increasingly evident that they have not. And now, you can focus more on what you wanted to do in the first place, which was probably micro your Hellions and kill a bunch of shit. Oh boy, which is exactly what's happening. No. Lambo is not getting to play his game. Stop! Bully! 7 drones killed, 2 canceled spores, make that 8 drones killed, 9. Not gonna get a 10th. But very much worth the Hellion sacrifice. Yes, you might have to rebuild at least 4 more just to make sure you can defend your natural, defend your third base, although it's Moondance, so you don't really have to. But you don't... You're okay with that trade, that's fine. That is fine. Liberator popped out, actually. It's not going to be Banshees. So, Liberator pops out, goes across the map, only just now scouted by the Overlord. Lambo is trying to figure out if he had a moment to counterattack. He did not. Overlord scouts in, sees the lack of tech lab, sees the 3rd CC on the back, knows that there is now really not going to be any opening for any type of run-by. And that really sucks. I mean, the 3rd base being out here only has so much of a chance of being caught by surprise when you're up against Clem, right? But at least there's a chance. Now that they're all stuck behind supply depot walls, they're like, oh, well, there's no chance. Again, a couple of canceled buildings to save drones is money. Oh. I guess it is worth keeping 1 spore, even though he knows it's a Liberator. Yeah, okay. And by the way, the Liberator is being pushed back so far. But the Hellions are just, they're causing so much interruption. I would not be surprised if Lambo gets supply blocked in the second year, too. As Clem continues to dominate the early game. Lambo with a faster player coming up. I guess going to be very similar to last game with the evolution chambers and bailingness eventually. And then there's that run by that, hey, might have caught a third base over here by surprise. Sad catches a bunch of supply depots. And we have that supply block that I was talking about. It took a little while to get there because he kept on losing units and then built buildings, so losing units, I guess, technically, but... Oh, he changes his mind. He's not going to go into banelings. He's going to go into 1/1 roaches. But there's the supply block I was talking about. He just has been so distracted, and with... you know, some of the way the earlier games have played out. I wouldn't usually call it, but yeah, Lambo's definitely been prone to being offsets, and then the question is, can the Terran take advantage of it? So if Lambo gets past the supply block, builds 200 1/1 roaches, well, then it's all fair. You know what? No, he did defeat Clem, didn't he? Yeah, you know, earlier on, in the first game, I said that Lambo defeated here Marine. No, it was Clem, that's right. Because in the third game, the semifinals, they played a really, really close Roach Ravager game. Which was really cool. And Lambo's hoping to do that again, I guess. But in a much worse position. So yeah, Clem is getting some serious revenge for last week. New narrative. The correct narrative is now in play. Liberator is still in action, by the way, guys. Just sieged up to get a couple of drone kills. And Clem is not gonna micro it. Nope, not fast. Still safe though. Now knows it's roaches, by the way. Saw the roaches ran. So should be building tanks if he wasn't already, which he was not. And... beep boop. Someone's gonna drop. Oh, Clem. Uh-oh. I know Roddy was having some internet issues earlier, but it's one of our players. Can't get mad at him. Ooh, I hate when it gets stuck on the medevac sound. Oh my god, just drop him because of this shit. Cool. Alright, guys. The writing's on the wall for that game, but it's definitely not over. So we're gonna get a regame. Or a continue from play, rather. Mom! Get off the phone! Clem would have no idea what that is referencing. Not only is he too young, but he's also... It doesn't seem like he's... meme aware. I feel like that's also kind of a meme. Even the youngsters might know it if they've been on the internet long enough. He was playing Brood War earlier today with Mana coaching him a little bit for, I guess, a sponsored stream. And, yeah, he's like 10 years younger than Brood War. It's pretty amazing. All right, back into it. Right at the moment of disconnect by the looks of things. Sometimes it's a little like 1-2 seconds earlier, but I think Clem was planning on picking up or just moving away anyways. Yeah. I think with 1-1 done, he might have been able to take on this set of units, but it was not yet done. Plus, you don't know where the reinforcements are going. As I was talking about, I think, at the time, Wood of Mines were in production first, because he figured Ling Baneling. Then he did quickly transition over into tanks and just tanks, which is more so what you would want. So yeah, Lambo is hoping for a little bit of success repeat from last week. Not gonna happen in the same way. It will be with roaches, but this time with a Nidus worm. Let's see if Clem is gonna be prepared for this. 4th base is down. That certainly will be a little too greedy with the Nidus worm giving mobility to the Roach Ravager. And it looks like he is very wary of that being too greedy, so he's not bothering to turn into a planetary quite yet, which I really like. Like, there's no reason not to have it there. It'll scout, it'll buy some time, probably won't get corrosive bile down. And then when you do think you can get it, you can get it. But, lifted the command center, but not because he saw the Nidus worm, just because he thought that'd be the safer thing to do, which it was. But here's also something that's kind of ponder-worthy. Is it really all that important to have a Nidus worm on this map? The reason I'm asking is that Lambo doesn't really get a lot of mobility here. Clem ultimately still has this locked up for 3 bases, and with tanks and a wall, it's just so hard to push through. So doing something over here is not that big of a deal. You know, if this was a different map where the 3rd base wasn't properly protected, you could be hitting 3 locations at once, theoretically. And it's just not the way it goes here, so that Nidus worm hardly doing anything. And Clem, oh, it's gonna turn that 4th base into a planetary. Alright, so still ends up being a little bit greedy with it, but not without reason. He thinks he can get away with it. So Lambo was pretty quick to identifying that that was not going to work out, and he has moved into Hive. It's going to go Ling Bane, Ling Ravager really at this point, but Clem is maxed out, ready to tango with 2-2. And Lambo is not going to be able to buy much time, so it's about to be do or die right now. Well, I said he wasn't going to be able to buy much time. I'm wrong about that. Planetary, non-planetary, sorry. Command center. Gonna get taken down by the roaches, but that means there's a lot of roaches not in the front lines. I don't know. Failing speed still isn't done. I don't know about this one. Lambo definitely making the right moves, hoping for a bigger distraction, hoping perhaps this also would pull the army back, but still no Baneling speed. Every Baneling died before Baneling speed finished. Womp, womp, womp. Clem gets a 3-0 sweep on the finals, gets serious revenge for last week, and another point on his overall record for the Open Cup victories. Getting closer to here, Marine. He's on your tail.